Welcome to African World. Today we will be talking about the female warriors who led African empires and armies from ancient times through the 19th century. Women who battled colonialists to maintain their power and prevent enslavement. During the European colonization of Africa, ancient kingdoms and empires thrived for centuries on the continent. Some were headed by women, including female warriors who led armies against invading European powers to defend their people from conquest and enslavement. The following are the African female warrior queens who fought for freedom from colonial occupation. The number one on our list is Queen Amini Renas. Queen Amini Renas ruled the kingdom of Kush from 40 BC to 10 BC, in the Nubian region, which is now modern-day Sudan. When Roman Emperor Augustus conquered neighboring Egypt in 30 BC with plans to next invade Kush, Amini Renas launched a surprise attack on the Romans. Leading an army of 30,000 from the front lines, Amini Renas successfully captured 3 Roman-ruled cities. But it wasn't long before Rome retaliated, invading Kush, destroying the kingdom's capital and selling thousands into slavery. After years of bitter fighting and significant casualties on both sides, negotiations to end the war began in 24 BC, culminating in a peace treaty 5 years after the fighting first began. Although the hostilities ended in a stalemate, Queen Amini Renas, unlike many of her neighbors, was victorious in resisting conquest by Rome, never ceding large swaths of territory or paying taxes to the empire. Amini Renas is remembered throughout the Nile Valley and beyond as the Nubian queen who conquered the Romans. 2. Queen Nzinga. She was an adept politician and skilled military strategist. Queen Nzinga was the ruler of the Mbundu people in what is now Angola. With the growing demand for slave labor, Portugal had established a colony near Mbunduland to expand the slave trade. Nzinga became queen in 1626 after her brother, the former king, committed suicide in the face of rising Portuguese encroachment. But before she became queen, at her brother's request, Nzinga met with the Portuguese to negotiate peace. An adept negotiator, she formed a strategic alliance with Portugal in 1622. Facing attacks from rival African aggressors looking to capture people for the slave trade, Nzinga's pact with the Portuguese allowed her to fight enemy tribes to enslave for Portugal in exchange for weapons and an agreement that the Portuguese would cease slave raids on the Mbundu people. But by the time she became queen in 1626, Portugal had broken its side of the deal. Nzinga refused to give in to the Portuguese without a fight. In 1627, she formed a temporary alliance with the Dutch, an enemy of the Portuguese, and led an army against them. Through her leadership, Nzinga successfully held off the Portuguese forces for decades, personally leading her troops into battle, even while in her 60s. Despite multiple attempts by the Portuguese to capture Nzinga, they never succeeded. She died peacefully in her 80s, after a long life of defending her people from colonial rule. 3. Queen Nanny. She was the leader of the Jamaican Maroons, a community of formerly enslaved Africans, who fought the British for their freedom. As a child, Nanny was kidnapped from Ghana and enslaved in Jamaica. She escaped, joining other formerly enslaved people who sought refuge in the island's Blue Mountain region. By 1720, thanks to her exceptional leadership and military skills, she'd become head of the Maroon settlement. That year she began to train her people in guerrilla warfare. Queen Nanny led the Maroons into dozens of successful battles, freeing over 800 enslaved people. Her clever strategies allowed the Maroons to catch the heavily armed British by surprise and decimate their numbers. By 1740, the British were forced to sign a peace treaty with the Maroons, guaranteeing their freedom. In 1975, the government of Jamaica declared Queen Nanny a national heroine and awarded her the title of Right Excellent for her strength and courage. Her portrait appears on the $500 of the Jamaican dollar bill. 4. The Dahomey Amazons. Named after the race of women warriors from Greek mythology, the Dahomey Amazons were an all-female military regiment in the kingdom of Dahomey, now present-day Benin. Reportedly assembled in the mid to late 1600s, the Amazons were known for their indifference to pain and fierceness in battle, as well as having great socio-political influence over their kingdom. To protect and enrich their own empire, there were periods when the Amazons cooperated with European colonialists, selling captured enemies from regional scuffles in exchange for weaponry and goods. By the mid-1800s, they numbered between 1,000 to 6,000 women. When the French invaded Dahomey in 1892, the Amazons put up an aggressive resistance. Afterward, the French soldiers noted their incredible courage and audacity in combat, as cited by the African American Registry, an online consortium of Black history educators. Fierce battling between the Amazons and Europeans continued, but the African female warriors were eventually outnumbered and outgunned and, within a few years, they were largely wiped out. And the last on the list. 5. Ya Osantawa. Ya Osantawa was queen of the prosperous Ashanti Empire, also called Asante, in now modern-day Ghana. As queen, she was the official protector of the empire's most sacred object, the golden stele. Made of solid gold and believed to house the soul of the nation, the stool represented the royal and divine throne of the empire. When British troops invaded in 1886, and demanded possession of the sacred object, Osantawa refused. Instead, she led an army against them. "I shall call upon my fellow women. We will fight the white men. We will fight until the last of us falls in the battlefields," Ya Osantawa famously said. For months, starting in 1900, Osantawa's troops laid siege to the British occupying forces, who very nearly collapsed. Only after the British brought in several thousand additional troops and pounds of artillery were they able to defeat Osantawa's army. Osantawa, who fought alongside our people until the very end, was captured and exiled to the Seychelles until her death in 1921. Her bravery and resistance in spite of the impossible odds have made her one of history's most famous warrior queens to this day. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe for new videos every week.